We've time for a couple of quick questions on call taking, dispatch, and CFR codes. Just wait for the microphone to get you in and just let us know who you are and where you come from first, please. Mike? Sorry.
Hello?
Yep.
Peter Bennett, Tarlock Moore, and Nathan Rai, CFR Group. We're working under a four text number at the moment with a 2 emergency number, and we call back an 021 live operator with our details. Now, I think this is kind of a few other groups in our area as well are working on the same system. Can you see this changing just to the text system like we have in the rest of Ireland in the near future? Thank you.
Yeah, I can probably actually answer that. You're Galway somewhere, is that what you said? Yeah. So certainly from our perspective on the discussions with NAS, as the control centres all moved to Tala and Ballyshannon, it was probably the last bit of the individual 9 health board ambulance services that was left to be integrated, and there are a variety of systems out there. And NAS's preference will be that we would move to text dispatch from the point of view of data capture. As the guys said, that if you're not texting that you're on scene or that you're mobile, they don't know if the resource is on the way or there. And if you don't have the data, you can't improve. I suppose the other thing that's become apparent today and over the last year from meeting groups around the country is there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. That groups in different parts of the country have different phone receptions, have different geography, and sometimes have slightly different dispatch procedures, even operating off the text alert. And the potential for some of the apps that were mentioned today, or for even Tetra groups, I know that Ardfert are experimenting with that to be used. So there probably is potential to go outside that, but yes, the preference is to move towards text dispatch.
In the near future, you can't say.
I can't say for NAS, but yes, I think that will be the...
The mic group now are very confused with all the numbers that they have. They have 6 numbers to deal with now, and then we dial back a live 021 number to talk to a live operator. And they're all getting confused and they're coming back to me constantly. Why so many numbers? I just have to come back with an answer to them. Can you say like 12 months or can you...
Well, the number that the text message comes from? Is that the confusion?
We get a text number, no way it's 7.
Yeah.
Okay. And we get that message. But we don't text back that number. We call up an old...
Well, you could text back, so we could look at... I could talk to you afterwards, but we could certainly look at trying to streamline that for you, because it would be easier to text back, I think, in that situation.
We're dealing with 6 numbers, like we can get a call from any of the
Yeah,
6.
and that's intentional, so that there's resilience built in, so that there's capacity.
That's not my complaint.
I know.
But we have the dial 021, we talk to a live dispatcher, and they tell us what's going on, we tell them who we are, rather than dial up the 01 with the last 3 digits and so on and so forth. I was just asked to find out, is this the way...
Yep, well, I can talk to you afterwards, but you should be in a position to do that straight away, I think. Yep.
Anne-Marie Ratoth, CFR. One thing that we've noticed recently, and I don't know whether it's always been there or whether we've just noticed it recently, is the time of within the text is averaging about 4 minutes earlier than the actual time we get the text. Just wondering, is that around how long it takes to take the call and how long it takes to get dispatched?
Yeah, I can answer that one there. The reason for that there, Emery, is really in an emergency, you'll actually get the text message when we get the code, which is the 9 Echo 1. So it could be a case that the call has been generated. If we lose contact with the caller, as we know, in a panic, sometimes callers will pick up, but that call will be still live. We're trying to get them back. Or if they could say we're on Main Street, we're saying what time, get here quick, as was in the call. Really, it could take us that length of time to actually ascertain. Not always, but usually that would happen. So you're actually getting when the call was first generated, but you don't get the text message until the code actually comes in, the 9 Echo 1.
I think that comes back to Andy's piece about data and on the forms, because what our CFRs were panicking about was how long it was taking us to get there, and it appeared as though we were taking 10 minutes or something, and it didn't feel like that, but actually it was probably 6 minutes from when we actually... So the question is for the data, how long is it taking us to get, and what information do you want on that?
Timestamps, if you're timestamping, if you're going mobile, you should be able to, we're capturing the data then. So the time of call is 3 o'clock, 3:00, you're getting the text at 30 or 3:05, and you're going mobile. So you're going mobile when your time and the timestamps are there, so they are being recorded. And sorry.
With regards to that, I mean, for a study, Andy is looking at it from the timestamp that you have, but what I suppose what I'm trying to say is the timestamps that you have are not matching up with the timestamps we have.
The time of call will be one key timestamp, and then time of code will be another. So you'll be measured from time of code, and that's when you'll be measured from time of code.
And when you say time of code, is that when we actually get the text, as opposed to the time that is stated within the text?
The time in the text is the time the call is initiated. And as Richard said, if a call comes in at 3 o'clock and we lose the caller, or the caller doesn't know where they are, and we establish at 3:05 that the caller is in Main Street in Bray, your text goes out, so you'll be measured from 3:05 on.
I could just add there on that just quickly there. It's just as Gavin pointed up there as well, there's actually the new screen on it that it gives out the next sequence of events, the time you actually got the text message and from when you go mobile. So now with the new CAD system, with Andy's with study, they can actually be pulled from the sequence of the events. So from the time you get from the time you get the text and you go mobile, we'll be actually on the sequence of events.
Yep.
Hi, Richie, Gavin, Joe here from Raheny CFRs. We're unique with one or two other groups here that we're based within Dublin, so most of our calls before it comes to yourselves come through another emergency service provider. So an awful lot of our text messages are coming in with just the general area, so general area, QLOC, general area. So we have to ring into yourselves to get an address. Is that coming from the other provider, or is that coming from your end? Because it's just we have to ring you for 90% of the response that we have to get.
The initial 99 call for yourselves will go into Dublin Fire Brigade. So it's going, the initial call is going to Dublin Fire Brigade, and then the text is generated from our CAD system, and that's coming from Dublin Fire Brigade contacting us looking for a resource or to notify us.
So they're not giving you the address then? Is that why we're not getting the address then?
You're not getting the full address, is it, Joe?
No, we're not getting any address. We're just getting, say 9 Echo 1 area of QLOC, for example.
What I have noticed with the Dublin ones sometimes is you'll actually get 4 texts, and as the information comes through, there'll be more information in each call. Not always, but sometimes. But that's as the dispatcher is typing it in, generating a secondary call. I know there's lots of people want to get in here. There's 2 more hands up. We'll definitely take 1 more question, or 3 more. Okay, 3 more questions.
Similar to the previous question, in the country, a name is more important than a number. There are no house numbers. So we send out the text to our responders. We have to bring back the national anthem, get a name, and then repeat that information to our responders. It's causing a delay.
Just in, sorry, I just cut the end. It's a name in the text, is it?
We get no name. We're just
As it stands at the
one
moment.
square mile of in the country. We're not getting a name. We know every house in the locality if we had a name.
As it stands at the moment, our emergency call takers are a set criteria in taking calls. So the criteria would start with the patient's phone or caller's phone number, and they're asked to verify it, as you heard the tape. They're then asked to address and they're then asked to verify that. We need to quickly, and it's a set criteria, set structure of AMPDS, we need to quickly establish what's wrong with the patient. So we start with phone number and address in case we get cut off. We then need to find out what's wrong with the patient. We then need to extract the information from the caller as quickly as possible. At that stage, we need, at the stage of phone number and address both being verified and what's the problem, the text is sent. At present, we don't have the facility or we don't have the instruction and we can't deviate from that due to our AMPDS license. We're licensed to take a call in a particular way. If we're going to start asking names, is it Mr. Smith? Smith with an I, Smith with a Y? Is there 2 S's? Is there an A? And then we're lost. We're lost in names. So as it stands at the moment, the process we have is phone number verified, address verified, and what's the problem. And the text is generated very quickly from that. And that's the status at the moment. That's the standard. The call takers are heavily audited on the way they take their calls. They can't deviate from their script. That's the situation at the moment.
Now, what was good out of the country block? How serious areas out of the country down?
Well, we have air codes which will assist in their appearing on the text messages.
And I think that it's an interesting one, and I think your points are well made, that for community first responders, the name can be very valuable. For an ambulance, it's probably useless, because the ambulance crew aren't going to know that Mary Murphy's house is the fourth one on the right after the butcher's. But you might. So it has to be fit for both purposes, and I would hope that the air codes will offer a layer above that. That said, I have seen text messages where the name is included. So if it's in the... I know that it's imperfect, but I think, I know, and I'm not here to apologise for the system that we have. It's not perfect, but it's certainly a lot better than it was a year ago and 2 years ago. And your feedback, both now and through the groups, is really important in informing how CFRs continue to be dispatched by NAS. I work with NAS, but not for NAS, so I'm not going to say that. But certainly, we're open to bringing suggestions for improvement to the table, and anything that we hear today or that you tell us afterwards, we will take to NAS. And look, there's 2 more questions. We do need to kind of try and wrap up. Owen down the back, and then there's a gentleman patiently waiting up here at the pillar.
Owen Connolly, the
3,
National Ambulance
okay.
Services Director for Andrew. Just wondering on the research from covering West Wicklow over on my side, where I have about 12 groups in our area, and we'd nearly see them all the time. It's rare to see them, not to see them on a call when they're dispatched. How many of the groups were 24/7 that you analysed? And if you take out the big group, as you said, that had 40% of the calls, what were the response rates like? Because 48%, it doesn't seem encouraging to me. Like it's great, but I think it's actually more from what I see of many first responder groups over on West Wicklow side.
The main point is sort of made there is the fact that the data is poor. So it was good for what we had, but the data was poor. And again, I can go into specific groups, but that's not really fair either, where paperwork was poor purely by that group. They might have had a fantastic response rate, because I could see by control that they were actually going to calls, but I had no idea what they'd done when they got there. I have no idea if they even actually got there, because they'd give a 0-1 that they were going to the call, and I could see that in the control room, but never knew if they ever got there, because they never gave a 0-4, and there was no paperwork to follow up.
Okay,
So I had
right.
Yeah.
Each question now has to be 10 seconds long, because we're stopping now. Garode, this lady and this gentleman, and that's it. I know we could talk forever, guys.
Just want to clarify, and again, the boys want to clarify how the air code part works from their system. If I'm not mistaken, and let me know if we're wrong, it's only if you get a hit on the original address. So therefore, the air code only works really when you have an easy address in the gazetteer, which makes it great for, again, housing estates. It makes it quite difficult then for the rural ones. Am I right?
That's correct. Or if it's supplied by the call taker or the call maker. This lady up the front here, and then this gentleman.
The minutes and the seconds, because the hour is actually highlighted and then it changes back to the box.
I think that's probably a phone issue. We'll have a look at it afterwards if you want, but it's probably an issue with the phone. Yeah.
Do you have your phone with you?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Maybe I might get a contact
yeah.
you can take a look at it, and we can take a look at it.
Thanks, Richard. Very last one, very quickly.
Hi, David Conway here, Kilchma First Responders in County Mayo. Now, we're a group that has been established for almost 12 months, but as of yet, we've been unable to go live due to various factors, such as commitments with work and one thing and another. But the largest obstacle we seem to be encountering is the cover through car insurance companies of our responders.
Yeah.
I myself, my company will not cover me under any circumstances.
Okay, and we can talk about that afterwards. It's something we've never not been able to sort out before, and I think we're coming down to Mayo in a couple of weeks actually, so we can meet up with you then. But it's not something we've ever not been able to sort out. So.